Guitar Champion, what's going on? Justin Hombach here, back from my practice cave. Welcome to this lesson about Marty Friedman, how to break the wall of harmony. In this lesson we're going to take a look at some really cool trick that Marty is using to spice up his game, spice up his solos, and I'm going to show you some examples how we can improvise or play a solo over a certain chord progression, what you can make out of this chord progression, and what is Marty doing with some sort of chord progressions. I hope you will like this lesson, and I hope you will like this little idea and trick that Marty is using. And if you like this lesson, then feel free to subscribe, to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, stay in contact with me, and or write a comment if you want. So let's start with the lesson. See you there. Cheers. So let's assume we have a chord progression like, for example, F sharp, D with the F sharp and bass, so it's D major, E and B. Now we have a few options how we can build our solo around this chord progression. Well, I think the most easiest and common way is to play the F sharp minor pentatonic. It's the easiest way because we only have in the pentatonic 5 notes. And the less notes we have on the scale that we are playing, the less situations there are where the notes can clash with the notes from the chord progression. F sharp minor pentatonic is the easiest way and sounds like this. So now, but after a while, the pentatonic scale can sound a little bit neutral, a little bit boring, because there are no tensions, there are no option notes in there, because the less notes you have, the less sound you have, the less color you have. You can create some awesome bluesy lines and you can create some awesome solos with the F sharp minor pentatonic, but playing it all the time, I think you know what I mean, can be a bit boring. So the next step would be playing the F sharp minor scale. Well, this sounds over the chord progression, like this, for example. But what we can also do is spice up the solo by going individually on every chord from this chord progression. When we are on F sharp minor and we are adding all the thirds to the chords we have here, we get F sharp minor, D major, which is obviously because we have the D major also always in the chord progression, E major and B minor. And when we are going to outline those chords, it sounds like this, for example. When you are outlining the chords in your solo, you have more like a melodic guide, and it's a bit more easier to play melodic solos or to play melodic lines. So now, but what is Marty doing? Marty is outlining the chords, or he loves to outline the chords, but he's breaking the wall of harmony. In our backing track, we only have power chords. And in the last example, we have added the specific third of the scale for each chord. But now we have also the freedom to put different thirds to those chords. We have the freedom to make one chord major, what was minor before, and so on and so on. And this can create some really interesting sounds. It works for every chord, but not for the D chord in this chord progression. Because every chord here is a power chord. The D chord has the F sharp in the bass, so it's automatically a D major chord. So we have to outline there a D major. But what does it sound like when I'm going to play F sharp major, sorry, instead the F sharp minor, or we can play E minor instead of the E major, and B major instead of the B minor. So how does this sound? Well, this sounds pretty exciting. What we can also do, we can play everything in major. So we have F sharp major, E major, D major and B major. This would sound like this. And see, this is what Marty's doing in solos like Lucretia. Lucretia? How do you pronounce that? Lucrezia? Lucrezia! I don't know how to pronounce that name. But this is what Marty, for example, is doing there. And he's also doing it in some other solos and creating some really interesting sounds. And you can create some really interesting sounds as well when you experiment with this kind of method. So the next time you have a riff and there are some power chords in there, or only power chords, you see you have the freedom to change the third a little bit, to make one chord major, one chord minor, and it doesn't matter if you belong to the scale where you're playing in. Of course, you can also play the scale, and like in the examples before, but you can go out of the scale a little bit more and experiment with those kind of ideas. And it's not so hard. It's a pretty easy thing to do, and everyone can try it, and you can try it as well. And I want you to try it out right now. Hope you liked this video. Hope I'm going to see you in the next video. Cheers!